Hey everyone, Andy here with Mossy Creek Fly Fishing. Today is Monday, August 7th. I'll be bringing you the fishing forecast this week. Hopefully everyone had a chance to get out last week and enjoy some early August fishing. As we get started into this week, our current water flows are at low to average. So when we look at a lot of our high elevation trout streams, fairly low. Down here on our bigger rivers like the South Fork of the Shenandoah, we're sitting right around average flow. But we do have some chance for some storms this week, so let's chat a little bit about the weather and what we can expect. So today they're calling for potential of high or heavy thunderstorms. They're only saying about a quarter to a half an inch of rain, which is, if that remains true, shouldn't be any major interruption to any of our fishing. But they are saying potential for heavy storms. So that's the time where we need to watch the radar, watch all the little spots that might be getting more rain than others. Remember, all these little streams funnel down in and fill the Shenandoah and fill our bigger rivers. So all it takes is one or two drainages to get a big rainfall, and all of a sudden we can see the big rivers start to rise. So I know we've been saying it a lot, but call us and check on flows. Check on the US Geological Survey page. Look at those gauges before you get out. Nothing worse than heading out expecting great conditions, then all of a sudden you get there and you've got this high river that you weren't expecting. So we're happy to answer your phone calls here and give you as much information as we can. So like I said, for today, we'll keep an eye on that. And then following that, we're going to have some cooler temperatures, a little bit of wind on the backside of that front. And wind is never a fly fisherman's friend, but it doesn't look like anything too severe. So as long as water flows don't come up too much, we should still have some good fishing through the early part of this week. And then looks like Thursday we've got another front moving through. We've got a chance of rain. Not saying a whole lot on amounts yet, but something to keep an eye on. And early this week too, we've got pretty cool temperatures. So highs are going to be in the low 80s, I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. And then after that storm Thursday, we see things start to get back to more normal summertime. And through the weekend, we're going to be back up into the high 80s and back into those normal hot summertime temperatures. So as far as how this is all going to affect our fishing, let's start with the brook trout streams like I normally like to. Brook trout fishing at the moment is marginal at best. We've got low, clear streams. Water temps are okay, but the water is definitely low and clear. So fish are going to be piled together. They're going to be extremely spooky. If it was me getting out, I'd probably prefer to go and fish something a little bit more regulated like spring creeks or tailwaters if you're looking to get your trout fix. But if you do go up in the mountains, same kind of things are true that we've been talking about. So small terrestrials, your favorite brook trout pattern, parachute atom, stimulator, all those are going to be something that could catch some fish. Look for that fast moving water at the heads of the pools. Now down on the spring creeks, when we are looking at like Mossy and Beaver, we had great reports from folks last week. The water out there is fairly consistent, so we've got clear water, but we do have water, so that's the big key. And I know a lot of folks have been checking on the Mossy Creek restoration work. That construction should be done now, so you can venture your way up the creek and look at the new stream bed that we have, and it may take a while for that to really completely regrow and look 100% natural, but we're already seeing some growth moving into the stream bed, so it'd be great to hear if anyone's catching fish up in there. As far as what folks are catching fish on, it's a lot of the same again, but we've got beetle fishing. That's been moving some big fish for folks lately. We had some nice fish landed and hooked last week out there. Lots of terrestrials out in your grasshoppers. We've got green and brown and tan all over the place, so be a couple good colors for you to try. And then the exciting news on Mossy is we're already starting to see some of our hex mayflies coming off. So that's big, humongous mayfly. If you all haven't seen them before, you're talking size 8 or 10 dry fly. And it's an evening hatch, so we're looking at late in the day for that one. And we're still early, and generally what we see with this hatch is it starts in the lowest portion of Mossy and works its way up through into that upper portion as we get a little bit later into August. So great time to start tying some of those. Come by the shop and pick some stuff up. We can show you all some patterns we like to use and prepare for that, and keep an eye out for it, because once we start seeing them, all it takes is a couple of good weather days where the conditions are right, and boom, all of a sudden we've got those bugs coming off a lot heavier. And then in the morning you're going to see your Tricos hatching, so that's another thing to keep an eye out for. when you're fishing those dry flies. Beaver Creek, a lot of that is going to be the same, so that all stays true. Same with your other spring creeks like Spring Run. And then other trout fishing options, if you go and hit your tailwater fisheries, you can go down to the Jackson. That's been fishing well for folks. We had some people out there last week catching some nice fish and catching good numbers of fish too. So that's going to be good cold water with good flows. And otherwise, looking a little bit further away for a lot of your trout options. If you head over the mountains into West Virginia, you can find some other tailwaters and some other spring creeks and things like that. So if anyone's wanting to get out and explore, give us a ring. We can point you in the direction of stuff. There's definitely trout fishing to be had, but we're mid-August here, so our options get definitely a little bit more limited. Now, as far as what we've got going in our peak season right now with smallmouth, the Shenandoah is at a great level. It's low, it's clear, but that makes for awesome fly fishing. So we've had very good topwater fishing, especially in the latter half of the day, midday time frame. So when you're out in the mornings, you might not have quite as good of your cork bug fishing, popper fishing, but trying more of your moving baits, whether that's a deer hair frog, trying something on top, or a swimming bait fish, or you may want to try too like a CK bait fish or a Murdich minnow, these slightly below the surface style minnow imitations. Still awesome visual style fishing, just not quite all the way on the top. And then when you're fishing your deeper water, crayfish patterns continue to produce well, hellgrammite patterns continue to produce well, getting those down. One tip I'll give you is that a lot of folks don't give them enough time in that deep water. Really make sure you get that crayfish down near the bottom or on the bottom and bounce that thing along. If you're not getting it down to the fish, you're going to have a tough time getting them to eat it. So, again, don't be afraid to sit there, cast that fly, and really let it sink if you're in a deep hole like we have here on the Shenandoah in a lot of different places. Carp fishing when the river gets low is great. You can see them everywhere. You can get into areas where they're feeding, so keep an eye out for those mud spots. You can put some crayfish patterns out in front of those, or other carp flies, and they're hard to catch, hard to hook, but worth it when you do get into one. It's one of the best fights you're going to have in freshwater, and probably the hardest fighting fish that we've got around here, so definitely something to keep an eye out for. And we'll just, again with that, watch the water levels if we get these big storms, but for the most part, things look to be in pretty good shape as we go through this week, and should be a continuation of what we've been seeing through a lot of the summer. Before we close up here, I'll remind folks too, this upcoming Sunday we will be at Elation Brewery down in Norfolk, Virginia area, so we're taking the fly truck down there, and we'd love to see y'all. We've had some really great showings at our previous events, and we're looking forward to continuing it. So you Virginia Beach folks, we'll hope to see you there, and if anyone else wants to travel along with us, we'll hope to see you there too. So get out and fish this week, enjoy it, and then finish it up at the end of the week with a nice day out at Elation Brewery and chat fishing with us there. We'll see you there. Thanks.